All right, and we are back. And today we're back with the final episode of the Christian Denominations Family Tree series, episode 8. Guys, this is a sad it's sad because this series is coming to an end. But it's actually really good because this is actually like the first series of things that I've tried to finish on YouTube that I've actually done. So shout outs to me. Applause, editor, throw it in there. But yeah, guys, thank you to everyone who's watching this, anyone who's enjoyed these Christian Denominations Family Tree series reactions. Next up would be the Jewish Denominations Family Tree, so be prepared for that. Now, my one concern, I'm wondering if I should do that one on Sunday or if I should do that one on Saturday, just because Saturday is like the Sabbath. So if any, if any Jewish people in the audience or, want to comment down below, let me know which is the best, if I should keep doing that on Sundays or if I should try to do those on Saturdays. Let me know where I should stand on that one. So yeah, guys, remember, like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't already, make sure you go to UsefulCharts and subscribe to his channel. If you're new to this channel, you're coming here from UsefulCharts, subscribe to me, like and comment down below. But yeah, guys, and here's the serious part. If you don't like, comment, or subscribe, YouTube will come through that door. And they will. Episode 8, Christian Denominations Family Tree Series, poster launch and miscellaneous groups.
Hi, this is Matt Baker. Welcome to episode 8 in my series on the Christian Denominations Family Tree. In this video, I'm going to cover a bunch of groups that didn't really fit into any of the previous categories. This will include Unitarians, Christian Scientists, Messianic Jews, and many more. But first, I'm pleased to announce that the poster version is now complete and ready to purchase. You can get your copy.
Guys, make sure you go and purchase the chart. I'm purchasing the chart myself. One day you'll see it in the background here. It may be here. It may be there. It may be one of these. Stick around
right now by heading over to UsefulCharts.com. We also just released a new version of our biblical family tree.
Ooh.
So take note that if you buy both, you automatically get 10% off.
Whoa. Now that's a good savings there. 10% off of both. You automatically get 10% off your order. Okay. I like this. Now, guys, should I do the biblical? I feel like I should also do the Biblical Family Tree series, but it's not going to be next. Next is the Jewish Denominations Family Tree. I think I did one episode on the Biblical Family Tree series, but, then I was kind of recommended to go through this one, and then I kind of fell into this one here, and I really enjoyed it. So, I'm in a little bit of a rabbit hole. Now, I believe the Jewish Denominations Family Tree series only has one episode so far. So if, depending on how far that gets, I may have to do some episodes from the Biblical Family Tree series. Let me know what you guys think below.
I also want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who helped with the project by giving feedback in the comments. One last-minute change that was a direct result of the comment section was the inclusion of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Finland.
Whoa, guys, I don't think I saw this one before, which means impromptu. Let's take a look at their symbol. Let's really get a deep dive into this thing, guys. Really get a deep dive into this. How do you guys feeling about this one? Me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's not bad. I mean, it does have a cross here, and it feels a little bit more like for a military or something, like what I would imagine like knights in armor would have for their like shield, which may be religious in, for them as well. So I don't know. I guess it doesn't scream like church. This screams like we protect the church. Like we're the people who come in for the church, but like, cause it's on a shield. I mean, it's kind of like a shield type of thing. So I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it, and even though I probably in the past said that this one here, this Church of Norway, was super cool because I'm looking at it now and it does look super cool. This one doesn't hit the same. I don't know. It doesn't give off the same vibe as that one.
I also decided to sneak in the church in Wales, since it just didn't seem right to
Whoa.
have England, Ireland, and Scotland represented in the Anglican section, but not Wales.
Okay. He hitting me with a few different little zingers here. So, once again, impromptu. I would pretty much say the same thing with this one as the last one, but here's the caveat: this one looks cooler to me. This I like. Maybe it's the colors. Maybe like blue, white, and yellow just go together a little bit more. But I personally enjoyed this one visually. I guess maybe the cross is definitely a little bit more like traditional cross, like what I would personally prefer. And then, it's got this little kind of cross with the circle around it in the center, which I can be known as a fan of like those center emblems, like right there, something right in the center. It feels like it looks right when there's something like that, especially when it's like a cross and it's like the sections are perfectly even enough for it. So yeah, this one's I personally enjoy this one more. It could be more. It could be more. It could be a little bit more religious, but it feels right. I don't know. Useful charts, guys.
Okay, so for today's video, let's start with Unitarian Universalism. I had actually added this group to the chart a while back, but forgot to talk about them. So let me do that now. As the name suggests, Unitarian Universalism is actually the result of two different movements that eventually merged: Unitarianism and Universalism. A Unitarian with a small u is basically anyone who believes in the oneness of God and who rejects ideas such as the Trinity or the divinity of Jesus. So, in this sense,
Okay.
all Jews and Muslims are Unitarians. However, a Unitarian with a capital U is someone who belongs to one of the various Unitarian movements that grew out of Protestant Christianity. The earliest of these Unitarian movements were actually based in Eastern Europe, but eventually there were movements in the UK and US as well. In the US, Unitarianism grew out of Congregationalism, and it became official in 1825 when the American Unitarian Association was formed. Universalism is quite different.
Okay. Here's my thing here, and I'm sure some of you guys may have already came to the same conclusion. Should they have came up with a different name? It just feels like universalism with the lowercase u and then universalism with like a capital U would easily be confusing. Like I feel a little confused because it's like, okay, what if I accidentally type in one when I'm looking for the other? I'm gonna learn something completely different. I feel like they should have thought of a different name, just one other name.
It's the idea that ultimately all humans will receive salvation. In other words, no one is going to hell. This idea became popular in some churches around the same time as Unitarianism, and in 1793, the Universalist Church of America was formed. Over time, Unitarians and Universalists became two of the most liberal denominations in America, and in 1961, because they had so much in common, they decided to merge to form the Unitarian Universalist Association. Now, take note that I have not placed Unitarian Universalism in a colored box, like
Yeah, he didn't place this in a color box. And I gotta say, it's a weird concept to just think that no one's gonna go to hell. How do you guys feel about that? Like, is that something like, okay, maybe I can kind of see where they're coming from, but at the same time, if you're part of Christianity, I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of a Christianity like a denomination that didn't also believe that people could go to hell. Also, their symbol, I like this one. This looks like a university, though. I will say this looks like a actual, uh, like a school, not like a real like university. It looks like a college. Uh, so like a 2-year college. This looks like a 2-year college type of logo, but like a good 2-year college, like one that's like really well known throughout the place. Like, oh yeah, you want to get like a business degree? Definitely go there. You'll get it in 2 years. You'll be getting a good job in no time.
All the other denominations on this chart. This is because they are non-Trinitarian and thus non-Nicene. In fact, one could argue that they aren't even a part of Christianity anymore. But instead of drawing a line all the way down to the non-Nicene Christians box, I opted instead to show them as a black and white symbol, like I did for Judaism and Islam, to indicate that they're more of a separate religion rather than a part of Christianity. In contrast, another very progressive group that definitely is still a branch within Christianity is the Metropolitan Community Church, which started out as a single non-denominational congregation, but has since grown into its own denomination. It was founded in 1968 by a gay man named Troy Perry, who wanted to start a church where gay and lesbian Christians could feel welcome. Starting in 1969, the church started performing the very first public same-sex marriages in the United States, although those marriages weren't recognized as being legal in California until 2008. To this day, the Metropolitan Community Church is mostly made up of members from the LGBT community. However, it does have many straight members as well. Let me now point out the...
Well, guys, shout outs to them. You know, they wanted to make a church for a community that was definitely going to be like severely looked down upon from like other denominations. So shout outs to you guys. Anyone from that church, you know, I support it. You know, we gotta be a little bit more, and I understand. I get why some other churches are gonna be having some backlash against that, but you know what? Sometimes it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Shout outs to the Metropolitan Community Church.
However, it does have many straight members as well. Let me now point out the Catholic Apostolic Church, better known to outsiders as the Irvingian Church, named after its founder, Edward Irving, from Scotland. I probably should have mentioned them in episode 6, alongside the Restorationists, because not only did they emerge around the same time, they also have a lot in common with them, in that they see themselves as restoring the original structure of the early church, and that they are quite focused on the second coming. However, please note that nowadays the original Irvingian church has mostly died away and has been replaced by the new Apostolic Church, which started off as a splinter group in 1863 and is mostly based in continental Europe.
So guys, a lot of impromptu symbol checks here, guys. A lot of impromptu ones because this is the last episode. So I got to say, this is one of the better ones I've seen throughout all the episodes. I like this one. Look at it. Look how big this cross is right here. Look at the light, the rays coming from the background. Look at this. Look at the different like patterns that they use here to represent like the foreground here and then like the background. Like, come on, man. They were really doing the thing. Like, you can definitely tell that's supposed to be something underneath the cross, while this is supposed to be more like in the background of the cross, but it's a simple image. I like this one. I'm not going to say it's my favorite from the whole series, but it's top 10, which, you know, there's a lot on this chart, guys. A lot on this chart. I would say this is top 10. Probably somewhere around like 8 or 9, maybe 10. It's like the last 3. It's one of them. It's really good, guys.
Another group that has roots in Scotland are the 2x2s. They were started by a Scotsman named William Irvine, who was initially loosely connected to the Higher Life movement. He ended up in Ireland, where he began an independent ministry that focused on sending out preachers in groups of 2. These pairs, called go preachers, were to have no salary and no home, and thus they also became known as tramp preachers. One of the early tramp preachers was a man named Edward Cooney. Although he was eventually expelled, he continued to grow the movement on his own, and thus some 2x2s became known as Cooneyite. Nowadays, the 2x2s are a rather secretive group.
The Cooneyites, that is a funny name, guys. I don't know.
With no official name. They do, however, reject the Trinity, which is why I've placed them in the non-Nicene box. If you want to learn more about this mysterious group, I suggest that you watch today's video by Ready to Harvest, which is all about the church with no name. Another non-Nicene group of Christians that are very loosely organized are the Christadelphians, whose name is based on the Greek phrase Christou Adelphoi, which means brothers and sisters in Christ. Their founder, John Thomas, was originally connected to the Stone Campbell movement, which is why I've shown them as descending from that branch. I'd now like to focus on what I've called the metaphysical groups, starting with the Swedenborgians, also known as the New Church. Their name comes from that of Emanuel Swedenborg, who, as you might have guessed, was from Sweden. He believed that humans become either angels or demons after death, and that previous humans, now living in the form of spirits, are all around us on a daily basis, trying to guide us towards good or evil. He died in 1772, and 15 years later, some of his followers established a church in England based on him.
Hey, shout outs to him. I don't know. I feel like that's, that's not like a horrible theory right there, guys. Like of all the religious theories out there, that's kind of one of the, I feel like somebody else would have came up with that like hundreds of years before this. I'm very surprised no one else came up with that theory. So shout outs to Mr. Emmanuel there. And also shout outs to his followers, because this is a great symbol. I'm sorry, this is definitely within the top 5 here. Look at this. Like, okay. I'm a little biased right now. I think it's the colors, the intricacy of the, just like the squares. Like the cross could be more cross-like, okay? But it's like what they're doing with it, the patterns work so well together. Like visually, when you're just looking at this, your eyes are going to be like, whoa, that looks cool. While we're here, I guess I'll go ahead and do these here since we're paused already. Unity Church. That's not it, guys. It's not it. I'm sorry. It looks like it's like it's selling something. Like this looks like it could be like a store or like a brand. Like, yeah, it looks like a really good brand logo. Like if this was on some lotion or this was on like some products that I saw on Instagram, I would think this was really cool. National Spiritualist Association of Churches. It's like I like it because it does look like something I would see for like a yoga thing, but I also don't like it for that same reason. Like when you say spiritualist, I can't wait till he gets into that part because I want to know more about them personally. But as far as the symbol goes, okay, they're not like a necessarily Christian church here. So I will say I'll give them a little bit of a pass, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I enjoy it, but I'm not a huge fan of it, if that makes sense. You guys, you just have to understand the logic of that one. Church of Christ Scientist. Okay. I do enjoy this one. I like it. I like the cross. I like the the crown. What are the words around? It's like I can't read the words around it. I wish those words were a little bit easier to read. But outside of that, I think this is probably the best one out of these three. Out of these four, visually, this one just gets me so much. Like this one gets like draws my eye towards it, and I'm like, I like it. This one also draws my eye towards it, and I also like it, but it's not as colorful.
His ideas, and from there it also spread to the US. The most famous Swedenborgian is probably John Chapman, better known as Johnny Appleseed. Although he's now mostly associated with folk legends, Johnny Appleseed was actually a real person who, in addition to being a new church missionary, also helped to introduce apple trees to many U.S. states.
So I do know Johnny Appleseed was a real person, and I know he wasn't. He actually, so he had a thing where he would drop or like make or I think he like grew some seeds and claim the land that the trees grew on, because back in the day in the US it was super easy to like claim land as yours. So like he had a bunch of farms in his name as he traveled, because he would just go back to the location where he dropped his seeds. Now I didn't know he was like a religious guy or like you know, in a missionary or anything. I honestly thought he was just a capitalist, and you know, he just freaking grew his legend so much that they made folklore into him. But yeah, shout out. I don't know, man. That's cool. Shout out to Johnny Appleseed. I already respected you, bro.
Another key person in the development of certain metaphysical ideas was a man named Franz Mesmer. He's the person that the word mesmerism is based on, which nowadays is mostly used to mean hypnotism. But originally, mesmerism was more than just hypnotism. Also known as animal magnetism, it centered on the idea that there exists an invisible force that connects all living things, and that this force can be manipulated. So Swedenborg had introduced the idea that there are spirits all around us, and Mesmer had introduced techniques for manipulating an invisible force.
Wow. So wait, this dude wrote Star Wars. That is crazy. Like, I did not know George Lucas stole everything from this guy. That is
Therefore,
insane.
what happened was that people started to use Mesmer's techniques to try and contact the spirits of dead relatives. This became known as spiritualism, and it was all the rage in the mid 1800s. Although not as popular nowadays, spiritualists do still exist, and in the US, they have an organization called the National Spiritualist Association of Churches, founded in 1893. One of the earliest practitioners of
Thank you very much. Because I will be honest, I got a slight bad vibe from this group when I looked at the symbol. I think I know why. I'm not a fan of the spiritualist people who like claim to like, you know, be able to speak to spirits and stuff like that. Like, if you can, I respect it. You can. I can't prove that you can't, you know, like except if I actually put you to the test and you can't prove anything. But like, it feels like a lot of those people, if they weren't making money off of it and like trying to be on television with it and like saying like, oh yeah, I spoke to your dead children, or oh yeah, I can help you find this missing person, turns out they died, so you should stop the investigation, and you know, stuff like that. Like, I'm not a huge fan of those type of people. I feel like a lot of those people take advantage of people in very vulnerable situations. They either are missing a loved one, or they lost a loved one. They are in a very vulnerable situation, and you're taking advantage of that. Now, I don't know about all of these people. I'm sure some of these people in that group actually have spoken with spirits, and maybe they have solved some cases. But the people that I've seen who claim that stuff, and then they go out and then they just like tell people things, and then when you actually find the evidence, it's nothing like what they said. You know, it just sucks. Like, maybe if they weren't charging money, you know, if people claim to be spiritualists, just did everything for free, I think I would see more of a purpose behind it. But it feels like a scam a lot of the times, and spiritualists don't try to blast me in the comments. I mean, I don't know. Spiritualists, defend yourselves.
mesmerism was a man named Phineas Quimby. He's considered the founder of the New Thought movement, which is a philosophy that connects some of these 19th century metaphysical ideas with similar ideas from the ancient world. In 1889, this movement, combined with the Transcendentalist movement, inspired a couple known as Charles and Myrtle Fillmore to establish an organization called Unity, also known as the Unity Church. It sees God as more of a divine energy that connects all things and teaches that we can use our thoughts to change reality. Which brings me to the most successful.
Okay. I don't know how I feel about that one. Okay. Like, is that like a better version of saying like put into the universe, like get things into the universe? Because it almost sounds like he's saying he can shape reality with his mind, and I don't think he's really trying to imply that. I feel like he's more trying to imply like if you put positive vibes out there, you can get positive energy back. If you do goods for others, and you know the universe works in a certain way, and maybe if you like use that to you can like understand the way the universe works through good and positive gestures, understanding that will give you good and positive stuff back. But it does sound like he thinks that he can like shape shift reality by trying it hard enough. So Unity people, Church of Unity people also, explain this further in the comments. I feel like it sounds like, I feel like I know where he's coming from. I don't know if that was like the best way to say it. I don't know.
Successful of these metaphysical groups, the Church of Christ Scientist, better known simply as Christian Science. The first thing you need to know about Christian Science is that it is not related to Scientology. Scientology was founded by L. Ron Hubbard in 1951 and has no historical links to Christianity. Hubbard, who was a science fiction writer, simply made the whole thing up from scratch. Christian Science, on the other hand, was founded in 1879 by Mary Baker Eddy, who happened to be a patient of Phineas Quimby.
Okay, interesting call out there. I will say, Church of Science, Christian Science, I'm pretty sure I've heard of this. I feel like, and I know he's going to explain it, but I'm going to go off the top of my head and say what I think it is. Would it be people who believe more like a mix of actual God and science, where it's like, maybe God created everything, but then like science is an actual way, like you can actually use science to explain religious things if you try. But the reason I said it was an interesting call out is because as much as people know that like Ron Hubbard was a he was like a fictional writer, a lot of people don't just like necessarily call him out just for being like a science fiction writer and just saying he made the whole thing up. So, shout outs to you, man. Like, Matt, you're funny. You're a funny guy, but like, that was a good call out. Hopefully I was right about the science thing. Scientology also, I'm pretty sure that episode of South Park was right.
As the name suggests, Christian Science is connected to Christianity, which is why it gets a spot on this chart, but not Scientology. The second thing you need to know about Christian Science is that it actually has very little to do with science, at least not mainstream science. In her book, Science and Health, with Key to the Scriptures, Mary Baker Eddy taught that the material world, including sickness, is really just an illusion. Therefore, instead of using medicine or physical therapy to treat health problems, Christian Science practitioners simply use prayer. The idea is that by focusing on the fact that the physical world isn't really real, you can make physical health problems go away.
Guys, I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong about that, guys. That is not what I thought that was going to be. Wow. Well, it's a little awkward for me, but I gotta say I don't agree with that. Like, that doesn't sound right, guys. I don't know. Yeah, let's move
According to
on.
Christian Science, this is what Jesus did, and what we can do too if we follow Mary Baker Eddy's teaching. Interestingly, the Church of Christ Scientist is also the publisher of the Christian Science Monitor, which does not actually promote their religious views, but rather simply reports the news. It has won several Pulitzer Prizes and is generally seen as being a fairly unbiased news source. Okay, that takes care.
Well, shout outs to them for making a good, successful magazine. Again, as far as all the other stuff, I can't just go and agree with them, guys. I can't tell you not to take medicine because life isn't real. Like it almost sounds like one of those people that tells you like we're living in a simulation. Like, okay, but like simulate taking your medicine.
Here of the metaphysical groups. I now want to mention a few more non-Nicene churches, all of which developed in Asia. The earliest of these is Iglesia ni Cristo, which is based in the Philippines. It was founded by Felix Manalo and is today run by his grandson, Eduardo Manalo. According to Iglesia ni Cristo, Christianity in the West became false Christianity within the first few centuries. It points to a scripture in Isaiah which says, "Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring your descendants from the east." As you can probably guess, Iglesia ni Cristo believes that it is those descendants from the east. Like many of the other churches in this non-Nicene section, it believes that it is the one and only true church, and that every other church on this entire chart is false. Even more extreme is the...
Nice. That's an interesting. I mean, I see where he's coming from, but here's a comeback. What if someone from like Australia said that to him? Because Australia is even further east. And then what if somebody from New Zealand said that to somebody from Australia? And then, follow me here, what if somebody from Hawaii said that to somebody from New Zealand? Now, before you stop, follow me here. What if somebody from California said it? I'm sorry, like I don't know, guys. The world is round, so like east, west, north, and south get like lost after a certain amount of time. Like when you're talking about on a global scale, like what is east to of Earth? Like east from where? Like is it gonna be east of Jerusalem, and where does that end before it turns west? Like, do you have to actually be like at the point where you're halfway across the world? Is it like everything's separated on one side from Jerusalem and then east, and then anything on the exact opposite side of the planet, which would probably be like the Pacific Ocean, would be like, that line would be west. On the scale of the planet here, you can just keep saying east until you go in a big circle, and eventually hit Jerusalem again. So I don't know. I don't think that's a great argument, but I will say, you know what time it is, guys. Impromptu. They don't make a great argument for that, but they have an incredible symbol. I like this one. I like this. Honestly, it kind of looks like a flag for a country. Like if I saw this as like a country's flag, or like there's the seal, I would think this was cool. While we're here, Unification Church. No, I'm sorry. This looks like a community center, and like a kids, like one of the places that you take your kids for the summer. Like a good program. They probably have really good lunches, but like it doesn't scream out church to me. World Mission Society Church of God. That is a big title, and this logo doesn't scream religious. This looks more like this looks like a corporate, like not, I don't want to say corporation, but like some type of what would the word be for this, guys? You guys know, you're smart people, you know what I'm talking about. An organization I guess. This looks like a charity or some sort of, like, when people go there, they have to have like really boring meetings. But the meetings actually decide where the money is going to go in the city. So yeah, that's my thought on that. United Church of God. You know what? I like this one. I just like. I'm a fan of globes. I'm a fan of, like, geography. Seeing the countries within the globe makes all the difference for me. This one here, those are just lines. This is lines, squares inside of a circle. This is these are countries here. These are continents. This is Africa. This is Europe. Some good stuff here. I like this one.
The Unification Church, based out of Korea. Its followers are known as Moonies, named after the church's founder, Sun Myung Moon. Moon taught that he was the second coming of Jesus, and that it was his task to do something that Jesus hadn't done during his first coming, and that was to get married. Moonies believe in a special kind of marriage, one that removes the couple from Adam and Eve's sinful line and places them back in God's sinless line. This is why the Moonies are known for their mass weddings, which sometimes involve thousands of couples getting married at the same time. But if you think that's weird, it gets even weirder.
Guys, I don't want to say anything negative about their religion, but that sounds like I need to know more about how that is detailed. Like, if someone can explain to me with the Moonies exactly how they're removing themselves from the lineage by marrying each other, like with their special marriage ceremony, like, how does that work? What are the details of that? I really want to know more about that.
After Sun Myung Moon died in 2012, a power struggle began between Moon's wife, Hak Ja Han, and their son, Hyung Jin Moon, which eventually led to the son forming his own Breakaway Church, called Rod of Iron Ministries. Based mostly in the US, it focuses on gun rights and gets its members to carry semi-automatic rifles during their wedding ceremonies and other rituals.
Why? What does this have to do with anything? What is happening right now? What is happening right now, guys? Somebody explain this to me. I need to know so much more about this. It is ridiculous. People, comments, you guys are incredible, and you always are able to answer any questions I have. The only real questions I have right now are all about the Moonies. If you could let me know all the information you know about them, I'm going to look them up after this. I need to know what's happening right now.
Back in Korea, the Unification Church has now been eclipsed by a newer non-Nicene church, now known as the World Mission Society Church of God. Originally called the Church of God Jesus Witnesses, it was founded by a man named An Sung Hong, who had originally belonged to the Seventh-day Adventists. Because of these roots, the World Mission Society shares much in common with the Adventists, but they also developed some rather extreme beliefs, which include the idea that An Sung Hong was the second coming of Jesus. He has since passed away, and they now also see him as being God the Father and the Holy Spirit. And they see his wife, Zong Gil-ja, who is still living, as God the Mother. Let's now move out of the non-Nicene.
Are they all going to be the second coming of Jesus? Like, is everyone... So all, like, they're... Okay. Guys, I don't know. I don't have proof of this, guys. I don't have any proof. 97. Okay. Would Jesus have come back in the 90s? I don't know. I was around in the 90s. I remember it. Didn't feel like he would have been there. Maybe he would have stopped by for a second. I don't feel like he would have stayed. Not in 97. See, I'm going to continue with the video.
Nicene box back to mainstream Trinitarian churches and take a look at how Christianity has developed in China. Even though Christianity is followed by less than 5% of the population in China, in terms of sheer numbers, China is actually one of the most Christian countries on earth. According to some estimates, China now ranks 7 overall, which is higher than both Italy and Greece. But due to the communist government there, things are, well, complicated. Officially, there are only 2 churches in China: the Three Self-Patriotic Movement, which is a coalition of Protestant groups, and the Catholic Patriotic Association, which is Roman Catholic. However, the vast majority of Christians in China do not belong to either of these 2 churches. For example, in 1957, when the Catholic Patriotic Association was set up, it was forced to reject the authority of the Pope in Rome, and therefore many Roman Catholics became part of an underground Catholic church instead. However, this is recently starting to change. In 2018, China and the Holy See agreed to a situation whereby the Pope now gets to sign off on bishop appointments. So it's yet to be seen how things will develop from this point forward. When it comes...
Is it just me, or does it feel like underground Christianity is like, it's kind of like super, like, it's super cool. Like, it's kind of like the, like, getting back to the roots of Christianity, you know? Back before it was like all mainstream and stuff like that. Like, you know, if you're like a religious hipster, you know, underground church sounds super freaking cool. You know, it's just like, oh man, this is what like the disciples was doing. You know, people wasn't liking us. We had to stay underground. You know, remember back in the days, you know, before like the Nicene Creed or anything even started. You know, remember back when like the Roman Empire was kind of like murdering us? We were underground then too, bro. Super cool. You had to have been there.
Protestant churches in China. There are many house church networks that run independently from the Three Self-Patriotic Movement. The 3 largest are the Born Again Movement, the Fangsheng Fellowship, and the China Gospel Fellowship. However, due to the situation in China, it's difficult to know exactly how many members belong to these organizations. It's likely, though, that these are some of the largest Protestant denominations in the world. I also want to point out a group known simply as local churches, which was established in China prior to the Communist Revolution by a man named Watchman Nee. This group was initially connected mostly to the Plymouth Brethren, but then went on to build connections with other evangelical churches as well. After the Communist Revolution, Nee was arrested and imprisoned, but one of his followers, known as Witness Lee, continued to grow the movement in Taiwan and then later in the U.S.
Someone tell me his like real name isn't Witness. Like, I feel like his parents didn't name him Witness Lee. I may be tripping here.
Where he founded Living Stream Ministry. Okay, let's now move from China to Africa and look at a few churches that were founded by Africans. These differ from most churches in Africa, which were originally led by European or American missionaries. The earliest of these African-initiated churches is the Zion Christian Church, which is based in South Africa. But don't be confused by the word Zion. Zionist churches in Africa have nothing to do with the modern state of Israel. Surprisingly, the name actually comes from the city of Zion, Illinois, which was founded by a controversial figure named John Alexander Dowie in an attempt to create a modern-day theocracy. I call him controversial because although he started out as a popular faith healer, he's now mostly known for having fraudulently made millions off his followers. However, the idea of creating a new city of Zion spread to other areas and became particularly popular in South Africa. It is for this reason that when a man named Anganas Lekanyane decided to start a church, he decided to call it the Zion Christian Church. Today, it is run by his grandson, Barnabas Lekanyane, and it has grown to become the largest denomination in South Africa.
Hey, shout outs to Matt Baker for pronouncing those names properly. I would have never done that. I've seen the names and I just heard them, and I still don't think I'd be able to pronounce it properly. Also, you know, Barnabas, it's not the best name. I'll be honest. I, you know, I'm sorry, Barnabas. You're probably a really cool guy, though. You're probably like super cool.
The next African initiated.
But oh yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I gotta look at these symbols, guys. You know what time it is. Uh, I don't know if we. I'm sure he's talking about this one. Maybe I did this on another one. I may have done this one on another one, but it's not my favorite. Rastafari. You know what? I never knew this was associated with anything like super like Christian related, but now that I actually look at this symbol, he is like carrying a cross. Um, I mean, it's a cool logo. It could be better if it was like in color or like not like the whole thing has to be in color, but like okay, let's say you make this pole here gold. You know, add some color to this flag here. Add some color to the crown. You know, just the little things would make this go so much further. Zion Church, Christian Church. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'll be honest. You put a star there, perfect opportunity to put a cross. Um, ZCC, I see that in there, but like maybe put the words Christian somewhere around here. This just feels like a missed opportunity because black and green are my favorite colors. Cerebum and Serpium, Seraphim. I probably said those wrong, but you know, obviously I would know how to say them if I, you know, said them properly. Uh, Ignore what I just said there. I think I just said words, but they didn't mean anything. I enjoy this one, but you know who has a little bit better of a symbol for an angel as their logo? Your boy. Uh, Redeemed Christian Church of God. I see what they're going for here. So I think this one is cool. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it is cool. A Kimbagalist Church. I okay. I like it. I do enjoy it. I like the colors and the with the message they're going for. Are these like leaves or are these like wheat? I don't know. I enjoy this one. I don't know if they're wings. I don't know what they are, but I like this one. I think I like this one the most out of these. It's like this one and this one. This one I wish was in color. This one for what it is, if I'm just taking it at face value, I like it the most.
Church that I want to point out is based in Nigeria and is called the Eternal Sacred Order of Cherubim and Seraphim, although nowadays they like to use the acronym ESOX. It was founded in 1925 by a Yoruba man named Moses Arimolade, who supposedly performed many miracles. Today, ESOX is the largest of the so-called white garment churches in Nigeria, also known as Aladura churches. Aladura being a Yoruba word meaning praying person. The words cherubim and seraphim refer to two different types of angels. You're probably more familiar with the word cherub, which nowadays is used to refer to angels that look like little winged babies. Another popular church in Nigeria is the Redeemed Christian Church of God. I've shown it in red because it is a Pentecostal church. Many of the other African initiated churches share certain Pentecostal elements as well, but they do not officially consider themselves Pentecostals, whereas the Redeemed Christian Church does. It was founded by Josiah Alufemi Akindeomi and is currently led by Enoch Adeboye. However, the one African initiated church...
Yo, these are some names, boy, I tell you. These are some names.
...that really stands out as being different is the Kimbanguist Church, based in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It was founded in 1921 by Simon Kimbangu, back when the country was controlled by the Belgians. Kimbangu was another supposed miracle worker, But in this case, he ended up being imprisoned by the white authorities because he also preached about black liberation. I've placed the Kimbanguist church in the non-Nicene box because eventually Kimbangu was seen as being the incarnation of the Holy Spirit, something that goes against Nicene theology.
Yeah.
Nearby, I've also included a symbol representing the Rastafari religion, which developed in the 1930s, not in Africa, but in Jamaica. According to Rastafarians, Haile Selassie, the former king of Ethiopia, was the reincarnation of Jesus. So, although Rastafari is, in a sense, based on Christian ideas, it has since evolved into its own religion, which is why I've shown it as a black and white symbol instead of placing it in a colored box. Okay, the last group of Christians that I want to talk about are Messianic Jews. We've come full circle because Messianic Jews are Jewish Christians, which is what the very first Christians were. Let's therefore go back up to the top of the chart to recap. During the lifetime of Jesus, there were 4 main sects within Judaism. Of these 4, only one survived the destruction of the temple, the Pharisees. It was the Pharisees who went on to become the rabbis, and therefore virtually all of Judaism today is considered to be Rabbinic Judaism. However, just before the destruction of the temple, a 5th sect emerged, which went on to become Christianity. In other words, Christianity started out as a sect of Judaism, which is why I've labeled this box Jewish Christians. However, from there, early Christianity went in 3 very different directions. Those who rejected Jesus as God and continued to practice Jewish customs like circumcision and avoiding pork became known as Ebionites or Nazarenes. Both of these groups eventually went extinct, although before they did, they likely had a big influence on the development of Islam. On the other extreme were the Gnostics, who also went extinct. But in the middle were the Pauline Christians, who Christians today see as being the true Christians. From here, Christianity became a mostly Gentile or non-Jewish religion, although early on there were still many Jews. However, the point I want to make, which I made in an earlier episode, is that there is no direct continuous line between early Jewish Christians and modern Messianic Jews. Jews who embraced pre-Nicene Christianity and then later Nicene Christianity were simply integrated into the now mostly Gentile church. Congregations made up primarily of Jewish Christians did not arise again until the 19th century, with the start of the Hebrew Christian movement. In the U.S., the Hebrew Christian Alliance of America was established in 1915, although it later changed its name to the Messianic Jewish Alliance of America. Today, it is the largest of the various Messianic Jewish organizations, which is why I chose it to be kind of representative of Messianic Jews as a whole. Note that they fully accept the Trinity and all other aspects of Nicene Christianity, which is why they are shown within the main part of the chart. But the question a lot of people ask is, are Messianic Jews Jews or Christians? Or are they perhaps both? Well, according to all the modern branches of Rabbinic Judaism, from Reform to Orthodox, Messianic Jews are definitely Christians and not Jews. While many Messianic Jews were born Jewish and would show up as being Jewish on a DNA test, they are actually no longer considered to be Jewish by the greater Jewish community. This boils down to the fact that Judaism and Christianity share common roots, but because Christianity ended up being by far the larger and more dominant group, this has forced Judaism to define itself, in part, as being very deliberately non-Christian. In other words, one of the defining features of Judaism is that Jews do not believe that Jesus was God. Therefore, if a Jew converts to Christianity, they are no longer a Jew. Ironically, a Jew can stop believing in God altogether and still be considered a Jew. That's because Judaism is, in a sense, still a very tribal group. So long as you don't join another tribe, you're still a Jew. But if you do join another tribe, like the one that believes Jesus is God, you're no longer a Jew. Okay, so that concludes our look at the...
So, do Jewish people still consider Jesus Jewish? Because I've always still considered Jesus Jewish, but then he didn't himself create Christianity. What do Jewish people consider Jesus? Was he Jewish in your opinion? Because he did believe himself to be the Son of God, and as part of that, God Himself, as one, with the whole Trinity thing. How do they feel about that? How do you guys feel about that? Let me know in the comments.
Family tree of Christian denominations. A big shout out to Joshua from Ready to Harvest for helping me along the way.
Shout outs to Josh.
If you want to get a copy of the finished chart as a poster, you can do so now by heading over to our website, UsefulCharts.com. And one more thing. A lot of people have asked me to do a similar family tree for other religions. So we will be doing that in the coming weeks, at the very least for Judaism, Islam, and Hinduism, each of which will consist of a single video. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching.
Oh, they're going to be single videos. Okay. All right. So I'll definitely go ahead and do this one next, guys. Guys, another great video. This was a amazing way to end the series. Honestly, I felt like this one was this one was probably one of the best ones he's done for this specific series. I can't wait to learn about this Jewish denominations explained. This is going to be pretty fun for me. So yeah, guys, remember, comment down below. Should this come out on Saturday or Sunday? I'm not 100% sure yet. Also, comment below how you feel about this. If you liked me, if you like what I had to say and my perspective on things, make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button. Comment down below all the fun stuff that YouTube forces me to tell you guys to do. Make sure you guys go check out UsefulCharts. Buy the poster, guys. I'm going to be buying the poster, so you should also buy the poster. That is, I'm trying to see, am I an influencer? Yes, I'm influencing you right now. Go buy the poster. Buy. Watch his videos. Follow him. I'm influencing you. Ooh, there's your influence. But yeah, guys, if you made it this far, you already know what I'm doing now. I'm rambling. I'm ranting. I'm literally saying the first things that come off the top of my head, and sometimes it makes no sense. But here's the thing that does make sense. You're incredible. I love you guys. All the comments that you guys have, I love reading them. They're all incredible. If you're watching this a year from now, hopefully I'm still doing well and doing all this stuff. If you're watching this a day from now, I hope you're having a good day. So yeah, guys, again, I'm just saying stuff, but just know you made it this far. I love you. You're incredible. And as always, bye.